We were asked by a reporter, Swamiji, why you came to London? Reporter asked. So Prabhupada said, Britishers spent 300 years in India looting the gold, emerald, ruby, jewels from India, but they forgot to steal the most precious jewel, Bhagavad Gita, uska home delivery karne mein aaya. Parvati saw the whole thing. Lord, what are you doing? It is all for men. Where are women in it? So Parvati told, no, you are not full-fledged. Your dance is not full-fledged. I have to teach last year.
So in Indian miniature painting, the rags and ragas and raginis are given a human form, and according to their characteristic, they are painted. Different artists have their own interpretation that is very beautiful.
So this last Nayika, when they are together, it's because she now is able to achieve the non-duality of union. She now has that, it's like a mirror. And we describe that Nayika as affectionate authority.
Our research may have begun with aesthetics and sensual imagery, but the journey ultimately led us towards spirituality, perhaps the true heart of the Ashtanayika.
First of all, I want to thank the IIC Library. And then, of course, to all of you, to the speakers, to everyone who's here, I want to thank you. So I personally found this to be a remarkable book. I mean, absolutely remarkable. I've always said that to understand Natyasastra, you need to have it meditated, because when you try to read one chapter, you can't understand it unless you have some grasp of things in other chapters. And when you go to those, you can't really follow unless you study what's in others. This book, which, I mean, they're going to talk about it and how it came about and what it is. But I find that this is a book that makes accessible the details of Natyasastra, especially as they apply to dance and acting to some extent, which is the same, makes it understandable, like the difference. You know, we all know rasa, we all know bhava, but what is the relationship? How are they different and how are they intertwined and codependent, which is spelled out. And it's just the range and depth of this is unbelievable. The fact that as a poet, wanting to understand more, she was encouraged, like in the classics, if you want to know this, you have to study that. If you want to know that, you have to, if you don't know the arts, but you have to know music, but you have to know sculpture, but you have to know dance. So actually, she's done it. And this is a book that you should not only get for yourself, but you should gift for anyone who wants to be able to actually understand Indian aesthetics. So they're going to tell all of this. And I'd like to first ask Dr. Jayakrushna Choudhury to talk about how he got involved and mentored and inspired this remarkable book.
Shahanavavatu Shahano Bhunaktu Sahavirjang Karavavahi Tejasvina Baditamastu Ma Pittisabahi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Ladies and gentlemen, actually, before all discussion, before all my speech, I always like to read this verse, Santi Mantra from Taittiriya Upanishad. Basically, it tells us that Sahana Bhavatu, may he protect us. Sahana Bhunaktu, may he nourish us. Sahavirjam Karavavahi, may all of us together try to learn more and more, and we must persevere to learning more. Tejasvina Abhitamastu. Tejasvina. Whatever we study, whatever we discuss, may that be brilliant and fruitful. Ma Vidvisavahe. May our discussion never lead to Vidvesa. May we never hate each other during our discussion. So, it is very difficult to imagine what rishis in Vedas time they wrote. But first of all, let me pay my obeisance at the lotus feet of Sri Gauranga Das Ji. When a degree from IIT Mumbai is considered pinnacle of success, of worldly glory, like Prince Gautama, he left and became a monk. So, renouncing all worldly pleasures and embracing monkhood, perhaps that is his destiny. But your blessings will be always, it will always lead us from darkness to light. I welcome your grace and hope you will illuminate this discussion with your spiritual insight. I also extend my heartful welcome to Guru Sharon Loen, an epitome of beauty and grace, an Odissi danceuse par excellence, whose love for Indian culture was such that she crossed all the seven seas from America to come and reside here. In fact, we consider in Indian tradition, all the danceuse we consider as incarnation of Parvati, Ma Parvati, that Bharata himself has written what happened about Nataka and dance. So, this in Indian tradition, everything comes from a divine source. So, when they started this dance, learning this dance, music, from whom to learn? It was Nataraja Shiva. And Shiva taught Brahma. Brahma in his Aniruddha avatar, he came and taught Bharata. And finally, it reached all of us. So, when Shiva was teaching his dance, Parvati saw the whole thing. Lord, what are you doing? It is all for men. Where are women in it? So Parvati told, no, you are not full-fledged. Your dance is not full-fledged. I have to teach Lasya. I have to teach Lasya, particularly feminine. So Bharata in his discussion of Vrittis discussed about this Lasya, which came from Ma Parvati. In fact, why only dances, I think we see all feminine power as embodiment of Mother Parvati. Vidya samasta stavade viveda striya samasta sakala jagassu toi kaya puritamambaitat kati stutistabhya para parukti. Oh Mother, you are the embodiment of Vidya. Vidya comes from you. Vidya emanates from you. And Striya Samasta Sakala Jagasya, all women in this world, Toi Kaya Puritamambaitat, they are filled with your wisdom, your grace, your beauty. So, thank you, Madam Lorin. And last but certainly not least, I will speak about Dr. Bhala, Dr. Sima Bhala, who is a polyglot, art critic, art curator. And the thing is that when we take one lifetime to master one language, she is master in more than 10 languages. Today, I would like to share with you my journey as the co-author of this book. And each journey has a story, and this one has also. During COVID lockdown period, there was a group of Odia literatures who made Sahitya Tunge. Prabhu from Karana, he was the admin of that Tunge. And in that, I posted some of my very, very old unpublished poems. I put it there. And one day evening, I remember, it must be morning there, I think. So I received a message from an American lady that to mentor her in writing Odia poems. I would have declined because I am a very solitary person, not very social, kind of. So, but there was a certain thing that stirred my curiosity. We both shared something in common, that is Choudhury, our title. So we started discussing, and we talked over, and finally I had to submit to her wishes because of her tenacious persistence. And I mentor. Why I tell this? Because of tenacious persistence, I mentored not because I am able or I am that good, but because she wanted, I had to do it. So we continued our work, and one day she sent me a poem just to improvise it and give it a name, basically. So when I saw the poem, I told, yes, it's a beautiful poem. So why can't it does not need much of my improvisation, but you can give it name Vipralabdha. She asked me, what is Vipralabdha? Well, she is one of the Ashtanayika. Then she believed it. At that moment, the seed of this book was planted through her query to know Ashtanayika better. And so we actually did some research, in fact, before going to write a book. And we found that although the Ashtanayika archetype, they echo over centuries of art, literature, dance, everything. But in any of regional languages in India, we could not find a book. If you find one, please tell me so that I will be stand corrected. But we couldn't find anything. So I said that, okay, we should write the book in Odia because it will be a new journey. It will be something new to do, because some books on Ashtanayika were also available in English. So we did the book, and it gave birth to a new problem. The problem was that in USA, Manorama is admired by many people, and most of them are non-Orias. They, they were very happy that she has authored the book, but they couldn't know what she has written. So again, Manorama told, no, we have to write one English version of this one. And we also saw that no comprehensive book in English has been recently written. Because in this book, I will tell you, we have given from different sources, from perspective of science, particularly the perspective of affective neuroscience, we have given this concept of rasa and Nayika, which is not available anywhere, I can say. It is nowhere available. So, because the man who coined affective neuroscience, Jack Pansek, he was professor Washington State University, and he died only last decade. In last decade, he died, and it was very, very modern concept. Before that, there was, of course, cognitive field, behavioral field, neuroscience was applied, but never neuroscience was applied in affective field. So that's why we get this book. That is why we meet this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Choudhury, not to be mixed up with the other Choudhury. So you had an introduction, but just as a reminder, because of where he's coming from, that he himself is clearly a prolific poet, fiction writer, essayist, and he has written everything from romantic, devotional bhakti, allegorical, and children's poetry. So when he guided her for this, starting with, as he said, that, what is a Nayika? What is the name of this poem? He's now writing a book on feminism in Odia.
Yes.
We're looking forward to that and the translation. And he's also translated Alberto Moravia's Italian classic, The Empty Canvas. So he's a linguist himself. And in Odia, for those of you that are interested, it's Sunya Chatrapata. Now, Manorama is now going to talk about the process. And she did something really incredible. From sharing a poem, wondering why he gave this title, she has taken an in-depth study, and the title is truly a misnomer. You don't get a mention of Ashtanayika until page 117. Before that, you're getting a foundation in Natyasastra. And things that you need to know, as I say, you need to meditate in order to get to that. So, and then she goes on to talk about all different bhakti literature and different languages, other things that are way, way beyond and influenced by the overall concept that she started with, Ashtanayika. She did receive India New England's Outstanding Woman of the Year, 2023 in Art and Literature. Right? And she's involved in everything, obviously way beyond her excellent homemaking, but everything, from crafts to education, health, things involved with rural India. So now, the author, would you please share with us your journey and how you feel about it?
First of all, thank you so much. This is so new to me sitting up here. And I'm not used to, speaking. I was so afraid of public speaking also. So I have prepared whatever my thoughts, I'll read them, okay? So thank you for the warm introduction. And I have been away from India 3 decades, and Delhi is not my home ground. Sharonji, she just sensed that in last few days. And with such affection, you accepted me. All my crazying, every call I did, made me completely at ease. I feel so loved and blessed. Thank you. Also, despite being one of our speakers this evening, she graciously offered to moderate the session. That means a lot to us.
Because you were panicking.
Then to Dr. Choudhury, as he said, when I first met him through WhatsApp, and I wanted him to mentor, he said, why do you need a mentor? You write perfectly fine. I said, no, I don't. I write maybe, but I need to know the nuances and all. So it took me 3 months to convince him. I had not seen his face till then, only conversation through WhatsApp. When he agreed, I started a different chapter in my life, which is beautiful, but I have to spend hours and hours and hours doing research because he's never happy. Whatever you do research, show me the proof. I don't believe. So we are like two opposite ends of the spectrum. If he found something, I will ask, please explain me first before I can write. And if I find something, he will say, show me the proof. So he thought, American, isko bolna nahi aata hai. I don't know. So anyway, Dr. Choudhury, my words fall short in acknowledging your role in my journey. You are far more than a mentor to me, and I feel truly fortunate that the stars aligned, or perhaps it was divine intervention that brought us together and eventually led this co-authored venture. I'm deeply humbled by your heartfelt words for me. For the literary journey we have shared, I am and will always remain profoundly indebted to you. Now, namaste to all of you. Good evening. Sitting here today feels truly special, honestly awkward. Not because of the book, but because of the privilege of sharing the stage with our esteemed guests. My heartfelt gratitude to His Divine Grace Gauranga Dasji, Odissi exponent, acclaimed guru, Sharon Lowenji, and art historian and critic Dr. Seema Balaji. A sincere thanks to India International Center for this platform with seniors, scholars, art and literature lovers, friends from Boston, from Bhubaneswar. Present here, I feel deeply humbled. A little bit about my journey I must share because that unfolds the story of Ashtanayika too. From a homemaker to an author, my journey unfolded only recently. That sets the pretext of this book's existence. My journey began with a quiet inner quest, not knowing where it would lead. I have always believed that the path reveals itself when we walk with trust and gratitude. Looking back, many moments feel divinely orchestrated. My search for purpose, poetry flowing into my life unexpectedly, my chance connection with Dr. Jayakrushna Choudhury, and my bold request asking him to mentor me. These things cannot be random. They are predestined. In 2019, I read Autobiography of a Yogi. Many of you probably have read it. A book I found accidentally in my husband's bookshelf. Just to kill time. Trust me, that book was not easy to grasp, at least for me, but some essence stayed with me. For example, it says somewhere, every person carries far more inner power than they recognize. Your instincts are often God's whispers. Trust them. If you trust God, do not doubt Him. So these things became my guiding principles. Then came the pandemic, a time that forced many of us for our inward journey. Around the same time, someone told me, a dear friend of my husband told me, there is a poet inside you waiting to speak. That sentence somehow touched me and changed the direction of my life. And slowly and surely, step by step, the hazy road became clearer. My heart is filled with nothing but gratitude to everyone who helped shape my journey, leading up to the publication of this book. There are many seniors and guiding hands to thank for this book, but I do want to thank first Dr. Choudhury, because Bharat Muni may have written Ashtanayika centuries ago, but it was he who opened that window for me. His scholarly depth, rare resources, and unwavering patience guided every step. Together, we spent countless hours debating interpretations, refining translations, and balancing historical authenticity with modern accessibility. Now, together, we are grateful to our guiding lights whose forewords elevated this book. In brief, if I summarize their words, Padma Bhushan Anupam Kherji, who needs no introduction, calls this book a luminous gem that bridges ancient wisdom with modern experience. Dr. Sandhya Purechaji, the chairperson of Sangeet Natak Academy, sees it as a reflection of the global legacy of Natyasastra. Dr. Harsa Dahejiaji, whose books we referred, is a celebrated author. He said, the Sringara Rasa Nayika reflects every woman as Prakriti forever seeking Purusha, inviting layered interpretations. Dr. Kamal Kishore Mishraji, head of Sanskrit department, Calcutta University, calls it a nuanced scholarly study of rasa, also praises the inclusion of vernacular poetry that enriches the text for scholars. Dr. Arjun Purohit, a renowned psychologist, describes it as a rare meeting of Natyasastra and neuroscience. He actually, after reading the Odia book, he encouraged me to write the scientific perspective connecting the rasa to the Jack Panksev theory. Babaji Sanat Sudatananda Das Maharaj sees how India discovers the emotions transcending time and space, revealing the divine rhythm of the soul. Professor Puran Dang, Chairman Emeritus MIT Heritage Arts of South Asia, calls it a cultural beacon. Professor Nirad Mahanti praises its blend of rigorous research and poetic sensitivity. And Hindustani vocalist Guru Srimati Swati Panda highlights its distinctive space given to Odissi music and Odia poets, often overlooked in English scholarship. And among them, we are honored to have Guru Sharan Loenji with us. Thank you, Saranji, for blessing the book with your encouraging words forward. Odissi is close to my heart. Both my daughter are dancers. And since Ashtanayika is a recurring theme in classical Odissi dance, your validation holds deep meaning. I hope your words today will inspire more performing art institutions to embrace this book. Now, with all these forewords came without any influence, which deepened our faith in the timeless subject and reassured us that the book is carving its own path. We are grateful to R.P. Jainji and your entire team with Motilal Banarsi Das for your tireless and timely support. Now, a few months back, I had the opportunity to hear His Grace Gauranga Dasji speak at a charity event in Boston. He mesmerized all of us with his wit and wisdom. I offered him a copy of the book, expressing my simple desire to offer it to Sri Krishna, who is the eternal source of beauty and love. Later, when Dr. Choudhury suggested, why don't we invite Gauranga ji for our book? The thought filled me with excitement, followed with doubt. We are two unknown authors. Why will he accept our invitation? He doesn't even know us. We don't know. How can we reach? But then I reminded myself of the principle I live by. Our sincere wishes are God's problems to solve, not ours to worry at all. So I chose to trust that 1% of possibility instead of fearing that 99% of impossibility. Gaurangji, I hope you remember, I wrote you a long email. I spent one whole day drafting that for your information, making sure every aspect that I can cover that will draw your attention. Your gracious acceptance felt like a divine affirmation, and your presence tonight truly honors our work. Our research may have begun with aesthetics and sensual imagery, but the journey ultimately led us towards spirituality, perhaps the true heart of the Ashtanayika. If I'm allowed to share a fun fact about inviting Gaurangji, ignorant people can always ask innocent questions. Whatever I trusted by 1%, I invited him, he accepted. After he accepted, his assistant sent me his bio profile. I was looking at it. Oh my God, how could I even dare to invite him? Then, not to get overwhelmed by his profile, I chose to remember one fun fact found with Google research. That is his light-hearted remark to a fellow IITian friend, CEO of a leading tech company, where Gaurangji said, "You deal with Google, I deal with God." That is what I got a whole long profile. I don't need to remember. This is something I can remember. We are also grateful to Dr. Seema Bhallaji for her gracious presence today. As an art historian, author, and critic, we are looking forward to her reflections. We kind of covered a lot of our research chronologically, how Vedic language came from there, the Sanskrit Kavya, poetics born, and then vernacular language, and Natyasastra, the elements of Natya, performing arts, we covered briefly in the book. Nayika is one of the elements, and among Nayika, Ashtanayika is a segment. We only focused on romantic heroines and how it has been portrayed in our art, science, literature, but not science, literature, music, dance, sculpture, everywhere. As many readers have suggested that this book can be used perfectly as a foundational reference material across the art and literature. Now, I personally care for the practical impact of any work than printing a simple research paper. So I'm delighted to share that through the book sales, I have been able to raise funds for two non-profit organizations. They're very dear to me. Ekal Vidyalay, which runs schools in rural India, and Visionate, which runs rehabilitation programs for the visually impaired. This effort not only spreads awareness of the social causes, but also brings our rich heritage one step closer to global readers. But beyond philanthropy, what has touched me most is how the book has inspired artists. A few artists created palm-leaf bookmarks and the Poti Chitra technique based on its theme. Sri Raghav Rana and Srimati Vaidehi Rana made Patachitra for the first time to the instructions of His Grace Babaji Sanat Sudatananda Das Maharaj, who found Nayika descriptions mentioned in Rupa Goswami's Ujjwala Nilamani. Now, a few of my original Odia poems have been set to classical tunes, giving opportunities to musicians and dancers. So I'm sure our book is finding its own destiny while creating ripple effects touching hearts. This book explores the enduring influence of Shringar Rasa on our rich cultural heritage for centuries. As authors, we have tried our best, and now we humbly rely on our readers to take it to the next level by introducing it to colleges, universities, or to artists across disciplines where this work may find deeper value and wider reach. I truly believe a book is the doorway to new world. May this one gently open the door for you. We warmly invite you all to dive in and explore. And now we are eagerly looking forward to all our guest speakers and their reflections. Thank you.
So, as you realize, it's quite a thing that we have Gauranga Das. And as you heard, he's an IIT Bombay graduate. He's obviously a Vaishnav monk. He's a social innovator, and he is a passionate advocate for sustainability, conscious living, and ethical leadership. And he's transitioned over decades from his career in engineering to a globally recognized social innovator, environmental steward, and an advocate for conscious living and ethical leadership. Usha already said some of what he has been awarded and what he heads. So just to say that through his really unique synthesis of engineering logic, spiritual wisdom, and environmental activism, Gauranga Das presents a powerful narrative. The true progress requires reverence for the earth, ethical self-governance, and a commitment to serving society. So we are indeed blessed and honored that you're here to share your thoughts about this book. Thank you, sir.
Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Thank you very much, Manorama ji, for inviting me for this book launch or book reading, and thanks to Jayakrushna Choudhury ji for being the mentor and co-author, and my regards to Seema ji and Sharon ji for joining us here. I will not be able to speak into great depths about the Ashtanayika concept, but I'll just speak reflections on what we in our society and families can learn from this concept in terms of applying it in our lives. And from that perspective, this work is very important and significant, and thank you, Manorama ji, for bringing this forward. Kalena Vrindavana Keli Varta Lapte Titam Kyapayatum Vishishya Kripamritena Vishishescha Devas Patraiva Rupam Cha Sanatanam Cha. Manorama ji brought the name of one of the most important literary contributors in the Gaudiya tradition, Srila Rupa Goswami. So this verse describes Kalena Vrindavana Keli Varta. The topics of Brajabhumi, Vrindavan were lost over a period of time. Lupteti. Lupta means it was lost. Tvam kyapayatum vishishya. And therefore Lord Chaitanya, who appeared in Navadvip 500 years ago in 1486 AD, had a desire to revive those pastimes. We are gathered here in India International Center to celebrate the revival of the Ashtanayika concept brought forth by Manorama ji and Jayakrushna ji through this English version. It's a revival, a concept which has always been there in our tradition but lost, but now we are trying to revive. But you'll be shocked to know that after Lord Krishna ended his pastimes at the end of Dwapar Yuga, Krishna's great-grandson Vajranab was given the task of immortalizing Brajabhumi Vrindavan as the place of Krishna's appearance and pastimes. So it was Vajranab appointed by Maharaj Yudhishthir as the king of Mathura district who actually took the help of Uttara, who was one of the few surviving ladies at that time. And using her help, Vajranabh created 3 deities of Krishna. Because Uttara was the only one left who had seen Krishna personally, Vajranabh needed her reconfirmation whether the deities made look similar to Krishna or not. So the 3 deities which were created were Madan Mohan, Govind Dev, and Gopinathji. And these 3, along with Keshavji, were installed in Mathura, Vrindavan, and Vrindavan became a very flourishing metropolis filled with all kinds of devotion and pilgrimage. And it was flourishing for next 1000 years. But in 1000 AD, there was an attack by Mahmud of Ghazni, and then practically the whole of Vrindavan was covered over and lost to human society. The deities of Madan Mohan, Govind, and Gopinath were hidden, and for next 500 years, most people are not aware that Vrindavan was not revealed to the world. It was just forest. There were no pilgrims. There was no kind of pilgrimages. They were just a few very deep divine transcendentalists who were performing their bhajan within Vrindavan. The nature of this world is, what to speak of other kinds of things which get lost. The very place of Krishna's birth and pastimes became lost for 500 years. And therefore, when Lord Chaitanya appeared in 1486, one of his main mission was to revive the glory of Vrindavan and reveal it to the world. And therefore, my dear friend Srivatsa Goswami ji from the Radharaman temple and also a Harvard scholar calls Lord Chaitanya the Columbus of Vrindavan, one who revived Vrindavan and revealed it to the world. And therefore, Lord Chaitanya came to Vrindavan in 1515 for only 2 months, and then gave the task of reviving and reproducing all the holy places to Rup and Sanatan. And therefore, Krishna Bhakti Krishna Prema Tatvera Nirdhar Vaishnavera Kritya Ara Vaishnava Achar. So Lord Chaitanya gave the instruction to Rup and Sanatan, you please go and revive these lost holy places. Krishna Bhakti Krishna Prema Seva Pravartan Lupta Tirtha Uddhar Ar Vairagya Shikshan. So Lord Chaitanya gave instruction to Srila Rupa and Sanatan Goswami, you have to do the following activities as part of your mission. First, you have to revive the lost holy places of Brajbhumi. Second, establish and find out where those deities created by Vajranabh are missing and lost, and establish temples for them. Third, and relevant to today's context, write literatures and books which actually bring forth how an ordinary person can engage in bhakti and devotion and revive their lost love for the Supreme Divine. Following that instruction, Srila Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami arrived in Vrindavan in 1516. And from 1516 to 1534, for the 18 years, Srila Rupa Goswami first of all began his journey by studying Bharat Muni's Natyasastra. And based on the Natyasastra, he connected the Natyasastra
to all the Puranic literatures, especially the Srimad Bhagavatam, and then came out with his classic treatise in 1534, which is called Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the ocean of devotion, which is nothing but just like an audience gets impacted by seeing the various emotions being portrayed by the actors and actresses on the screen, those emotions affect the audience. Similarly, each one of us, a soul, we are all an audience in the drama being played by the divine couple Radha and Krishna. And how we get affected and impacted by each and every act, dramatic gesture, and emotion exchange between the hero and the heroine, Radha and Krishna, and how it affects us is the entire gist of the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that we get impacted by those emotions. And so Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, after 18 years of research, connected the dots and, as we say, took the deep science embedded within all the Vedic literatures, 4 Vedas, 18 Puranas, 108 Upanishads, Vedanta Sutras, and converted all of that into technology. Not too many people have patience for computer science, but anybody can use the Apple phone, because ultimately people want an app. So what Rupa Goswami did was took all of the science within the Vedic literatures of the rasa, of the bhava, of the tattva, and then converted that into a readily usable app. And that is what was the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And therefore it is said that Krishna Tattva Bhakti Tattva Prema Tattva Sar Bhava Tattva Rasa Tattva Leela Tattva Ar. When you sit and hear any spiritual discourse, these are the 6 things which the speaker will reflect upon and speak, and these are the 6 things which enter into you and create transformation. Just like if you got a headache, then you take an acid tablet. From the user's perspective, you want the headache to go. But somebody who's a pharmacist and a medical student will understand what are the ingredients within that anacin. So therefore, for most of the audience, one is more concerned with hearing the katha. But as those who are trying to unpack what is the science behind the katha, these are the 6 things. Krishna Tattva, the Tattva of Krishna. Bhakti Tattva, the devotion, how to attain the process. Prema Tattva, the final destination and the experience. Bhava Tattva, the emotions. Rasa Tattva, the exchanges. Leela Tattva, the actual enactment of different activities and pastimes. So these 6 things is what creates the emotion within us, the transformation within us. When you hear any katha from the Srimad Bhagavatam or the Ramayana or the Mahabharata, because all we know is the TRP ratings were highest during the COVID when Ramayana and Mahabharata were shown. But why? Because all of this are demonstrated through this. And therefore, when Rupa Goswami wrote this Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that became the basis by which he demonstrated that how a layman can plug and play into the bhakti practice from being a novice to being a practitioner to being an expert. And therefore, those 18 years of hard work done by Srila Rupa Goswami to create the book, Because we are all here to discuss about the launch of a book. And one may think, why is producing, publishing, or presenting books so important? Because people recognize buildings, they recognize infrastructure, they recognize creation of wealth, they recognize so many other things. But does modern society really understand the impact of a book? I will explain to you how that one book has impacted history. Because the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu was written, bhakti or devotion, which was a mystery, which need to be extracted by going deep into multiple literatures, could now be easily accessed just through that one book. Fast forward, further Acharyas wrote commentaries on that book. And fast forward, in 1966, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada takes the message of the Gita and the Bhagavad and goes to America in New York and establishes ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And in 1971-72, Srila Prabhupada writes The Nectar of Devotion, a summary study of the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. So, nobody in the world had heard of this Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, which was created out of Bharata Muni's Natyasastra and combining that with the Bhakti Shastras. But then when Prabhupada unpacked it, published it, then gradually, when Prabhupada departed in 1977, already ISKCON had more than 5,000 devotees with 108 temples, because the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu gave bhakti in the form of an app, where a new person walking into a temple without having any background in Sanskrit or Sanskar or any kind of Hindu thought could actually start practicing the process of chanting Hare Krishna and experiencing the transformation. A whole system was in place thanks to that one book. And today we have 1,300 temples of ISKCON in 120 countries with the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu published in 80 languages. With more than 1 million followers across the world, everything began from that one book. And therefore, I can see that what both the co-authors have done is created an excellent blueprint, because all it requires is initially विचार. जब विचार बदलेगा तब व्यक्ति बदलेंगे, जब व्यक्ति बदलेगा तब व्यवस्था बदलेगी. तो आपने जो एक ग्रंथ निकाला है, इससे विचार बदलेगा. So therefore, when Srila Prabhupada stood at London, he was asked by a professor, he was asked by a reporter, Swamiji, why you came to London? Reporter asked. So Prabhupada said, Britishers spent 300 years in India looting the gold, emerald, ruby, jewels from India, but they forgot to steal the most precious jewel, Bhagavad Gita, uska home delivery karne mein aaya hu. And therefore, by publishing this book, you have added to the dimension of giving to the world an understanding of the ocean of wisdom which is there in our Bharatiya culture. Now I will end by sharing that out of these 8 different Nayikas mentioned in the Ashtanayika, there is only one Nayika who has the satisfaction of being with her husband. Because I, honestly speaking, did not get the opportunity to read in much detail or anything. But you, as you said, you are nervous while speaking, whereas that is my main profession. So it doesn't take long for me to think of a few interesting thoughts on a topic. So when I was going through this 8, because I found it in the 119 from the index, from the contents page. And then out of the 9, I see out of the 8, 7 are frustrated in different ways. But the interesting thing is, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Dukkhale Mashashvatam. This world is a place of distress and suffering, which shows that the soul spends majority of the time suffering in separation from God. So viraha will always be a more prominent experience in life than sambhoga. And therefore, all of our wisdom literatures prepares us for distress, for vipatti, not for sampatti. We aspire for sampatti, but the reality is vipatti. And therefore, Mahavipattau samsare yasmaret madhusudana vipattau tasya sampatti bhavet ityaha shankara. All Vedic literatures teach us the method by which how you can use failure as stepping stone, how to transform your vipatti into sampatti, and therefore, whether in Ramayana or in Mahabharata, the heroes are always going through vipatti. And therefore, in a family, when the marriage happens and when the husband and wife come together on the day of the marriage and reception, everyone is smiling, everyone is congratulating. But then those who are coming and giving gifts, they are commenting to each other. Now their journey begins. So, in any relationship, there are 4 challenges. Pragara premera ei swabhava achar nijadukka bignadir nokkore vichar. In every relationship, there is scarcity, impediment, discomfort, unhappiness. Scarcity, discomfort, impediment, unhappiness. This will be there in any relationship. But in spite of that, when the relationship continues, that is called love. And therefore, the Ashtanayika is an expression that in majority of the situations, we may be in a situation of distress and separation from the beloved. There will be a gap between our expectation and reality. We may be helpless, but do not become hopeless. So the first thing which I said was out of the 8, 7 are in state of distress. But interestingly, there is no emotion where the lover is saying, I will leave the beloved. And that is the important thing to know, that in relationships and in families, there will be challenges, there will be impediments, but leaving was never an option in Vedic tradition. And therefore it was all commitment for life. So I was giving a lecture in a college outside of India, and a Western student was talking to me in Hindi. I was shocked. I looked at him and said, you look non-Indian, you look Western. How you speak Hindi? He said, I grew up in a multimillionaire family, but when I was 17 years old, I told my dad, you gave me everything in life, Dad, except the experience of what is family. Because when I was 2 years old, you were divorced. And I grew up always wanting the experience of relationships, of family. Today, a country like Luxembourg has 88% divorce rate. Spain has 65% divorce rate. France has 55% divorce rate. Russia has 51% divorce rate. The global divorce rate, America has 46% divorce rate. Global divorce rate is 44%. India still has the lowest divorce rate at 1% only. And you may wonder, why is a brahmachari quoting so many divorce statistics? Because the foundation for society is the healthy family unit.
And therefore, Goldman Sachs came with a report that between 2015 to 2025, what will be the infrastructure investment required for Bharat? It is $1.4 trillion. From where that will come? $800 billion of that would come from family savings. So one of the biggest contributors to economy is not corporate, not the stock exchange, but the humble housewife who is keeping the family together. And therefore, when I actually, when this person took a flight and came to Varanasi, the son, to experience family, he saw, I want, there is like a paying guest allowed. He went to this house and said, I want to be paying guest in your house. I want to be paying guest only for 2 years just to experience what is family. If you allow me, I will experience what is family for 2 years and give every month a rent of 1 lakh rupees. That family said, why 2 years? Stay whole life. And then they said, if you have other friends also who want to experience family, we can open 1 more room. We take certain things for granted. And therefore, the most powerful message which I get from Ashtanayika is 7 out of the 8 Nayikas are in a state of lack of fulfillment of their cherished desire. But they are not walking out of the relationship. And that is what Bharat always was. When the first divorce happened in the early 1900s in India, it was headline in newspaper. And therefore, dear friends, as we celebrate technology, we are celebrating each member of the family busy, completely absorbed with their gadget, and totally oblivious of the presence of others in the family. Let this book, Ashtanayika, wake us up to the importance of going deeper into every relationship, respecting every relationship, and reviving those relationships so that the family tradition can again be to its original glory. Otherwise, we will read about family only in dictionaries in future. Thank you very much.
Now, when you have the Ashtanayikas, and especially when you have like Gita Govinda and all of these discourses, that separation, remember that Radha is, as you'll know from the book, or you already know, is an Uttamanayika. She's already very fine, highly refined. The fact that she was born into this samskara to be with Krishna. That means that all of us struggled to get rid of our kleshas, the anger, the jealousy, the greed, and we work on it and you get a distance. But the most difficult thing to get rid of, to eliminate, is ego. And even as you get rid of negative things, the ego can grow. And even when you do good deeds, the ego can grow. So when Krishna comes to her after promising to meet and be with another, he doesn't want to hurt her. And too many times we see it represented as just like a cheating guy who got distracted or something. No, he wants her to understand what she finally does, which is that he belongs to everyone and belongs to her totally, totally everyone. And so this last Nayika, when they are together, it's because she now is able to achieve the non-duality of union. She now has that, it's like a mirror. And we describe that Nayika as affectionate authority. But sometimes people take it as affectionate authority with ego. But it is I tried to tell my students, it's more like if you think about Salyaras. If a child says to the mother, scratch my back or hold me, they know that it's equally pleasurable for both. It's like you're looking in a mirror. One is not asking, coying, you know that it's an equal pleasure and you feel absolute trust in that. And so when she is able to give up that degree of self-centered desire for Krishna without the others, that's when she is able to achieve the union. And so many youngsters will say, oh my God, it's so retrograde, all this pining and waiting and him going off. But it's obviously not Sujata and Bobby, it's just a metaphor. So since this philosophy, Indian culture, which is expounded in the text, and it's obviously done in the dance, it's done throughout art and culture. It's done throughout the sculpture, miniature paintings, etc., etc. And that's why we're very fortunate that Seema Bala, who is like one of our very top art historians, curators, authors, as was said, is going to shed a little bit of gyan on the art representation of the Ashtanayika. And she's covered everything. I mean, essays, exhibitions, contemporary art, traditional, folk, tribal, jewelry, textiles, awards. And so now, Seema, please tell us a little bit about the visual representation.
Thank you so very much, Sharon. To begin with, my heartiest congratulations to Manorama and to Jayakrushna ji. Thank you so very much for coming out with this wonderful book. And Gauranga ji, I'm particularly thankful to you for laying a foundation for my whatever little information I'm going to share. Also to Sharon, because she's a dancer and the subject is a very important subject in dances. I will not go, Gauranga ji has taken the Ashtanayika to a level of spirituality where love is between a human form and a god. And so has Sharon taken, because in dance form, when you're dancing, it is a love between human and God. But when we come to representation of Ashtanayika particularly in the Indian miniature painting, it does most of the time whenever hero and heroine are shown together, it is generally Radha and Krishna. But when Ashtanayika is shown separately, not as a couple, then it takes a totally different meaning. I agree with Gauranga ji that out of all the 8 heroines, the only one who is happy is the one who is Swadhin Patika. We call her Swadhin Patika, but you have written Swadhin Bhratuka. Both terms are usable, and the reason it is called Swadhin Pratika, to begin with, in the gathering today, there are more men, less women. But I would suggest and advise that each one of you try to figure out what kind of Nayika are you, or what kind of a Nayika you have sitting at home. So it would be a great exercise to understand what are you going for. I will not go into all the Nayikas because we are running short of time, and Sharon has already kind of given me a little hint to that. So I will only stick to some important one. So the 4 Nayikas that I feel in today's time and age perhaps is what is part of the younger society in India. And to that matter, I would, first of all, there are some slides which are going on. And as a matter of fact, this is the first slide that was just showing is the one that I was going to talk about, is Abhisarika. Now, Abhisarika is the Nayika or the heroine. What are these Ashtanayika? These are nothing but your state of mind, the state of mind of a woman. But I will go into the Shringaras instead of going into the spiritual aspect of it. Shringaras is what you and we all are associated with, more human form. So Abhisarika is the heroine or the Nayika who's in love, and she dares to go and meet her lover, despite whether it is dark or it is raining or his family behind is going to find out and she's going to be into major trouble, and she will go through the forest. There's no road, and the snakes on the road, and it is believed that there are some pishach or some demons on the trees, but she's daring it all and she's going. On the slide I've been watching, this is the Odisha Pattachitra which is being shown, There's a difference. I mean, Indian miniature painting is the most complex form of art in the entire world because all the schools, different schools, what is being portrayed, the same subject is being portrayed in different schools and it changes its connotation. But one of my favorite Ashtanayikas, they come from Pahari school. And I am particularly fond of this one particular depiction of Abhisar Nayika, which is from a Kangra Guler school. Not Kangra, not Guler, but Kangra Guler. So it's that cusp which is there. And it's one of the most beautiful paintings that one has seen. And so in the painting, you will generally find that the heroine, even here too, she's there. She's walking, there's snakes around, and somewhere little rain would be shown because it's a small painting which is going to run the entire scene in front of you. So in that little painting, it's also showing somewhere the raindrops. That means, there's a thunder and a rain. There would be some lightning in the sky, and whatever. So Abhisarika, today's age and day, I think the youngsters, the young girls and all, they are confident enough to go and tell their love to the boyfriends or the guy they're interested in. So, to say that then Abhisarika was like that, but today I think most of the youngsters, they would fall into this category. And let me tell you, if Nayika is Ashtanayika, so are Ashtanayak. So the women are put into 8 categories. They have the counterparts as male heroes. And so if I'm talking of Abhisarika as a woman, because the title of the book is Ashtanayika, keep in mind that there would be a hero would be kind of a mirror to this personality. So this is one aspect. Any one of you, I'm not saying that please go and start studying Indian miniature painting and get bored with it. But since Indian miniature painting is kind of catching a lot of attention and all the auction houses have started coming out with all these miniature paintings, if you ever come across, the best way to see a miniature painting is not to see like this, but hold it like this. And just go, it's a way to read a story. And then you will get to see, if you're watching Abhisarika, you'll see how daring is that woman. Now, all these paintings have been done in the 18th century or 17th century. So the society was very different then. And if then they're showing Abhisarika like this, it's something you understand that even in those days, she was daring enough to go and show her love for her lover and walk out of the house. In the same context, we have Radha, who always went out of her house. She was a married woman. She went out of her house. She was Abhisarika. She used to go and meet Krishna. So she was Abhisarika. But because we treat Radha and Krishna as God, it is the body and the soul. So we accept it in that manner. But Radha was Abhisarika who used to dare to go and meet Krishna at night. Despite being married, she used to go and meet him because he was God and she was the soul. So anyway, there's something very interesting that when we talk of Abhisarika, I came across this amazingly beautiful painting called Ragini Asavri. The reason I'm bringing, because Manorama and Jayakrushna ji in this book have a kind of associated rags and raginis to each Nayika, and I am taking that particular aspect. So there's Ragini Asavri. Now, Ragini Asavri generally shown as a dark woman who's seated outside, and there are again snakes around her, and she generally has an instrument to play with. But in Kangra and also in Basholi, in Guler, Asavri is not shown as a dark woman. So there came a painting which for a long time was becoming a problem for, I think, Christie's, because the people who were working on these paintings to kind of tell what painting it is were not sure what it was. They thought it was Abhisarika, but it was not Abhisarika. It was Ragini Asavri. So in Indian miniature painting, the rags and ragas and raginis are given a human form, and according to their characteristic, they are painted. Different artists have their own interpretation that is very beautiful. So as I said, Abhisarika is a woman who dares. So with that, we associate rag, to my mind, I would associate Rag Basant or Rag Miya Kamalhar and Bhairav, because Bhairav is sung with almost everything. It can be sung any time of the day, and it can be in any situation. It can be can used. Regarding the ragas, you see, it is the meter of a raga, which certain meters do not give you option to create a different bandish. So that meter, it bandos you in a certain kind of bandish. But ragas like Bhairav or Pilu or Darbari, I mean, it's a bandish, the same raga, but you change the bandish and you change the emotion. So to my mind, I would give Miyaki Malhar. I would give Basant Rag to this, and I would also give Bhairav, as you've also quoted that. So that is my first Nayika that I touched. Second is coming back to the next heroine who is not happy, is a Khandita Nayika. As you can understand, Khandita is Khant, Tuta. Her heart is broken. So her lover has told her he'll come, and she's all waiting for him. Now, this can also be Naik. I mean, everything you put in the both ways. And so she's waiting, and she gets to know he's gone to another woman. And naturally, she's all broken, heartbroken, and she's very upset. And, that state of mind is shown very beautifully in music. It's shown very beautiful in the Indian miniature painting. And Jayakrushna ji, you and Manorama, just my interpretation, I would put Rag Des with it. Because, Rag Des is, as you understand, is more, it goes on, and you can, the bandish can make it into a complaint. So that is this thing. Now, the third Nayika that I would touch is Kalahantarita. She is putting in a very simple way, Kalha Hantrita. Kalha, Kalesh. So she is in that state of Kalesh, again, one of those 7 not happy ones. And she's had a fight with her lover, and the lover is gone. He says that's what happens most of the time at homes also. If there's a fight, the partner would go away. And I see some people very laughing, probably. This is something that happens in almost all the houses. So now she is furious, and she's angry, and she's upset, and she's feeling that I'm angry, I've had a fight, and why has he walked out? So she's naturally not happy. So this is one kind of Nayika. It is so interesting that Natyasastra was written in the 3rd, 4th century BC. And today we are in 2500 AD. And the Nayikas haven't changed and the Nayiks haven't changed. I mean, it's amazing. That shows the human beings don't change, come what may. So this Kalahantarita, because she's in rage when she's had a fight, she's in rage and she said few things which at times she feels she shouldn't have said, but she said it. And then again when she thinks, but he said this to me, and so again she gets angry. So, there are these tempos which are going up and down. So I thought to my mind, I would put Rag Darbari to this, because Rag Darbari is performed in the low and middle octave. So it can just go, to this thing. So I thought to my mind, because the situation, putting yourself in that situation of that heroine, you understand that she would be angry and then she'd be saying, maybe I shouldn't have said this, but he said this and he did this, and, you're going up and down. And of course, put this up in Nayak also. Then the happiest, Swadhin Patika or Bhrataka, both can be used. And she's the one who has the husband or the lover in control, and he keeps her sitting next to her. And that's what every woman would want, and vice versa, every man would want. And some of the finest paintings in this category, they come from the Pahadi region. If you ever happen to Manorama and Jayakrushna, if you ever happen to visit Kangra, or even Chandigarh Museum, Chandigarh Museum has got some of the finest Pahadi paintings, and they have the Swadhin Patika, which is again Kangra, and there's one in Basholi style also. This is very, very beautiful. And then, as you have said, you have given Rag Malashri, which I think is perfect. There are 3 notes to Rag Malashri, so it is limited. So it is very simple. And because they are going to be just sitting there, so it is in control. Yes, I'm cutting it short.
Sorry.
I will only come now first to one. This is Proshita Bhattuka, which is a lover is away on duty for the sake of his work and cannot come, and wife wants it. I also want to, this another edition that I thought I would love to do is that Ashtanayika is also part of our folk music. There's a beautiful song in Dogri language where both men and women, they sing together. So the women will say in Dogri that you come back, the weather is so beautiful, what are you doing there? And then the men in that get together, they sing, but मैं राजा दी नौकरी करदा, I am doing king's this thing, how can they come? So this is also, the Ashtanayika is also part of our folk art and music. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, first of all. And a few things we did not touch upon is like in this book, you will also find the appendix with all different vernacular poets and their poetry for the Nayikas. So we have covered like, Braj Bhasa, Hindi, Sanskrit, Odia, Maithili, Bengali, Telugu, and my poems are also there. So my original poem was in Odia. So I would like to actually read Odia poem just because I will not get this audience, captive audience, to share my beautiful language. You can always read the translation. So since we talked so much about Abhisarika Nayika, why not I try to sing? I'm not a singer. I have absolutely no knowledge. But when I wrote this poem, Jayakrushna sir said, oh, do you realize this is in a particular britta? So I said, oh, I don't know. Tell me, how do I sing? So I just start singing. So I can sing few couplets. I don't need to bore you all. Sakhi kahi gala kanare kanhainka barata luchi jibi kunja banare hele keti mo badha Sasu nanandai jai basiya chanti chahi pada mor dhire badhaye mugoe rundi nei झिपी झिपी बिंदु बरसा आने किसे हरण छैल गछ बिकान्धुर भाली मन छन अन्धार ए राति हुआसी लागे भय प्रबल थर थर थरे मो छाती देखि पवन तोड़. Thank you. Thank you.
So I know you've been very patient. Thank you all. Thank you all. Thank IIC. Thank everybody on the dais.